Hello and welcome back to the channel. For today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you how I made this deep Basque waist corset. So if it's your first time viewing my channel, please like, share and subscribe. So in our previous video, we drafted this corset pattern. If you haven't seen it yet, please go down to my channel, or I'm going to leave the link at the description box. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always supporting my channel. So let's start. So in our previous video, we have already cut out the pattern. Right now I'm going to place my pattern, or the front part of this corset, and I'm going to place it on a gum stay, and I'm going to cut out and also cut out hair stay for the front pattern, but I will be cutting that later. So the reason why I'm adding hair stay to this pattern in front is to make it more stable, because I'm using a bridal satin for the front part of this corset. So in case if you're joining this tutorial now and you're confused why I have one piece for my front, I actually taped my pattern together and I cut it at once, and I added ½ inch at the lower part and at the upper part, and also at the part that is going to accommodate the cup. So after cutting out hair stay for the front, I'm also going to cut out hair stay for the back also, and I will cut out gum stay for the lining pattern of this corset. So after cutting out for the front and the back pattern, this is what I have. So the next thing I will be doing right now is to iron the gum stay on the fabric. But before I do that, I'll go ahead and cut out my cup, because I'm using a bra foam. So if you're making use of an already made cup, you're just going to work with that. You can also work with a wording. So for this part, I'm just going to place it on my bra foam, and I'm going to add ½ inch round. So I'm going to cut out next. So next thing you're going to do is just to add ½ inch round, and you're going to be cutting out 2 pieces for both sides. And it's not compulsory to use a bra foam. You can go ahead and use your wording or use an already made cup. So after cutting out for one side, I'm also going to cut out for the other pattern of the cup. So after cutting out my bra foam, the next thing I'll do is to place it on my fabric, and I'm going to cut out. So I'm going to cut out 2 pieces for each cup. Next step I'm going to take is to cut out my hair stay for my bridal satin. And I'm going to trace out what I have exactly on my bridal satin. I will trace and cut out my hair stay. And when cutting out, I'm going to make sure the back part of my bridal satin is facing the front side or the shiny side of the hair stay, so that by the time you iron it, it's going to stick on it. After that, I will trace and iron, and I will also place for the back, and I will cut out also. So the next step I'll be taking is to unpin my pattern for the cup, and I'm going to place it accordingly. So right now I'll be ironing my gum stay to the lining part of my cup. So while placing your gum stay, make sure the shiny part is staying on the lining, because you're going to be ironing it. So after placing it, I'll go ahead and I will iron it, and also iron the other side of the cup also. After ironing, I'm just going to place it back to avoid misplacing my cup, and I will start working on the front part of my corset. So I have ironed gum stay to the lining, and I've gone ahead also to iron hair stay to the bridal satin. Just like I said, is to add stability to the fabric. And I also ironed hair stay to the back part of the corset. So after doing that, I will still go back to my cup, and right now I'm going to be joining my cup. So to join my cup, I'm going to arrange it before joining, and I'm going to arrange it accordingly. So I'm going to pick up the pattern that is labeled A, and I'm going to open it up for my fabric, the foam bra and the lining part. So after doing that, the next one I'm going to do is to pick up the part that is labeled B. So I'm going to open it up, and then I'll take the fabric and I'll open it this way, and then place one for each side of the cup. After doing that, I'll pick up the lining part and I'm going to open it up this way and I will place. The next step is to take the part for the cup and I will place it under the main fabric. So next you're going to join your cup this way and you're going to sew with 1/2 inch. So whatever you do on this part of this cup on the lining, you're also going to do it to this part of this cup on the lining part. Then to the main fabric, you're going to flip it over this way and you're going to join. But before joining, you're just going to stitch it round. If you're making use of a foam bra, you're going to stitch it round first, so that way your foam bra or your bra foam will stick to your fabric. So you're also going to repeat this to the other part of the cup. You're just going to stitch down with 1/2 inch. So after stitching down with 1/2 inch, the next thing you're going to do is to flip it this way and you're going to join with 1/2 inch all the way down, and you're also going to do this to the other side of the cup. You're going to sew with 1/2 inch. With that, your cup is ready. So I'm done sewing and this is what I have after sewing. So I'm going to pick up the cup at the lining part and I'm going to notch it round. After notching it round, I'm going to open it to the right side and this is what I have. So I'm also going to do the other side of the cup just like I did. So going over to the bra foam side, what you're going to do is you're going to cut out that 1/2 inch you sewed on the foam bra to avoid bulkiness or to avoid your foam bra being bulky. So after trimming it out, this is what it looks like. After trimming out, you're just going to notch it back so that the cup will relax very well. So whatever you do to this cup, you're also going to do to the other cup also. So I'm just going to flip it to the right side and this is what my cup looks like after I'm done. So for those using an already made cup, you can just use a hemming gum to hold your cup down to the fabric. And whatever I do to this cup, I'll do to the other side also. So this is what my two cups looks like, and we are going to move over to the body of the dress. So you'll be attaching your cup to the body of the corset, but before doing that, I'm going to be inserting or creating my boning casing. To do that, I'm going to flip it to the other side. So if you're using a reddening boning or a sewable boning, you can just place it on it and you're going to sew, but you're just going to leave 1/2 inch on top and 1/2 inch below before you sew in your boning casing, and you're going to wrap it with a tape to avoid poking at the down part or at the upper part of the corset. Or you can still create boning casing for it and pass it through. But for this corset, I'm going to be making use of a plastic boning. So to do that, I'll be creating a boning channel or boning casing. So I'll be doing that with a bias. So you can also make use of a fabric if you want to. To create a boning channel with a bias, you're going to open it up and you see that one part is folded, and you're going to sew on that folded part and you're going to flip it this way and you're going to top stitch. After doing that, you also do that for the other side and you're going to create as many boning channels or boning casing that you want. You're also going to create for the back piece. So I just created one for the back on each side of the back part. So and also to the front, I created the boning casing. I just created 5 boning casing. You can add more or you can create less depending on what you want. So I'm going to flip it to the other side so that you can see what my boning channels look like at the back. Next step is to attach your cup to the body of your corset. And for me to do that, since I cut my pattern together, I'm just going to flip it this way, fold it this way, and I'm going to find the center and I'm going to notch. I'll be doing this for the both sides where I'll be attaching my cup. Next, I'll take my cup and I'm going to place. So that part that I joined my cup, that is where I'll be placing on that notched part. And I'm also going to do the same to my lining part. So to make it more easier for you to join your cup to the body of your dress, you're just going to pin, especially for a beginner. But if you can easily join your cup, that shouldn't be a problem. So I'm just going to take my pin and I'm going to pin my cup to the body of my corset. So I'm going to make sure my cup aligns with the space I have to attach my cup to. So this is what I have after pinning this side. So the next thing I'm going to do is to pin the other side of my cup. So is to pin the other side of my cup, and to do that I'm going to check if what I have at that side aligns with my cup. So if you can notice, I have about 0.75 or 1 inch. So what I'm going to do right now is to notch the space that I have for my cup in order to accommodate my cup. So I'm just going to notch carefully, just a little. You shouldn't notch too deep. After notching, I'm just going to check if what I have at the cup area aligns with the cup. So as you can see, it's aligned. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take my pin and I'm going to pin it down. After pinning it, this is what I have. As you can see, it's looking very nice. So what I'm going to do right now is just to sew with 1/2 inch round. So whatever I do to this side of the cup, I'm also going to do it to the other side too. And also for the lining part, I'm also going to do the same thing I did to the main fabric to the lining part. I'm also going to find the middle of the body of the lining part and I'm going to place the center and I'm going to join it round. So I'm done joining my cup at this part and this is what I have. So I'll go over to the sewing machine and I will join this part and also join the lining. So after that, I'll be moving over to the skirt part. So for the skirt, I cut out the lining and I minused 2.5 inches from the lining to give it that turn up effect. So I'm going to face the right side of the fabric facing the lining and I'm going to shift my lining to the end and I'm going to be joining it with 1/2 inch. I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch at the end of the fabric this way. So after joining, I'm going to measure about 1.5 inches after that 1/2 inch that I sewed and I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch by the sides. So at the other part too, I'm just going to repeat the same thing. I'm going to measure 1.5 inch after the 1/2 inch I sewed and I will sew 1/2 inch to the end. So for the back part of the lining also, I'm going to repeat the same thing I did to the front. I minus 2.5 inches for the lining and I went ahead to put the lining to the end and I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch. So after sewing with 1/2 inch, what I'm going to do is to flip my material this way and I'm going to measure 1.5 inch after that 1/2 inch I sewed and I'm going to sew with 1/2 at this part. Then at the other side also, I'm going to measure the same 1.5 inches after the 1/2 inch I joined with and I'm going to sew with 1/2. So I'm done joining my cup to the body of the corset and this is what I have and I'm going to flip it to the back to show you what it looks like and the boning channels at the back. So I'm going to flip it to the front. So if you're going to sew with a foam bra or a bra foam, you're going to sew with 1/2 inch at the tip to make the mouth, the ending, less bulky. So I forgot to explain that while I was sewing. So next I'm going to be turning my lining with my main fabric. So I'm going to place the lining on the main fabric this way, the front part facing the front part, and I'm going to make sure it aligns with the cup area and the side area. So after doing this, you're just going to pin it down and you're going to sew around it and you're not going to sew the lower part. So I've gone ahead to pin down the fabric to the lining, and I'm going to sew around it this way, and I'm going to flip it from the lower part of the dress. And also for the lining part also, I'm just going to sew it and I will flip it from the lower part also. So I'm done sewing, and this is what I have. I've gone ahead to turn the back part, and I also notched it. So also for the front part, you're also going to notch it round. And also for the front pattern, you're also going to notch it round also. After notching it round, I'm going to flip it to the right side. So I flipped it to the right side, and this is what my corset looks like at this part. And I'm just going to iron it well so that it will sit properly. So what I'm going to do next is to insert my boning to the corset. So to do that, I'm just going to wrap the mouth with a tape. So the reason why I'm doing this is to avoid poking at the upper part and at the lower part of the corset. So I'll go ahead and I will pass boning through the boning channel. So at this point, if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to leave your comments at the comment section, and turn on your notification buttons to get new updates whenever I post on my channel. So I'm also going to add boning channels to the back also, and to the front. After adding boning channel, I'm going to iron. So while passing your boning, you're going to leave about ½ inch below, because you're going to be joining your corset to your skirt pattern. So what next you're going to do is to top stitch on it with ½ inch. For the back also, you're going to insert your boning, and you're going to also top stitch at the lower part of your dress. So I'm done doing that. So the next thing I'll do is to attach the skirt to the corset. So for the back, you're just going to take this and place it this way, and you're going to attach with ½ inch. After attaching with ½ inch, you're going to measure about 10 inches down, and you're going to stitch it down, and you're going to create your slit. Then for the upper part, you'll be inserting your zipper to it. So going down to the front part, what you're going to do is you're going to place your skirt this way, and you place your corset. So next thing is to find the center of the skirt. To find the center, you're going to fold it into two, and you're going to notch the center. So you're going to make sure the basque area of your corset sits at the middle of your skirt pattern, and it is touching the end this way. So the next thing you're going to do is to mark out the basque area. So I'm going to start from somewhere this way, and I'm going to trace out what I have. So the reason why I'm stopping at this point is so that at the waist is going to meet the back part. So what I'm going to do is to notch where the upper part will stop at both sides, so that when I'm joining, I know that I'm going to stop here, and at the other side I'm going to notch also, to make sure I stop at that point at both sides. So I'm going to take my tailor's chalk, and I'm going to trace out the basque shape. After tracing it out, I'm just going to cut it out. So after cutting it out, I'm going to place the upper part on it this way, and I'm going to be joining it with ½ inch. So to join, you're going to place it this way, and you're going to sew with ½ inch. You're going to follow the basque shape to this point, and then you're going to place it this way, and you're going to sew with ½ inch. So after sewing the front part, this is what you have, and you notice here is not smooth. So what you're going to do is to flip it to the back, and you're going to notch at that point you joined. So you're going to notch throughout. So after notching, this is what the front part looks like. And I've also joined the back, and I'll go ahead and insert zip at the back part. Next, I'm going to sew my sleeve. So my measurement is 11 inches on fold, and the length of my sleeve is 17 inches. Now this is not a constant, you can just use whatever you want to use. So what I'm going to do right now is to open it up, and I'm going to sew with ½ inch down. I'm going to fold with ½ inch down, and at the upper part I'm just going to create a channel for my elastic band. So after doing that, I'm going to place my tape and I'll measure about 5 or 6 inches from the down part, and I'm going to sew an elastic to gather it at this point. So after sewing my sleeve, this is what I have, and I'm going to pass elastic at the upper part. After inserting elastic at the upper part, I'm just going to fold it this way, and I'm going to sew with ½ inch downwards. I'm done sewing my sleeve, and this is what I have. So I'll keep this aside and I'm going to shape the dress. So to shape the dress, I'm just going to place it and I'm going to pin it down. To shape my dress, I'm going to place my tape at my under bust, which is 12 inches like this. So from there, I'm going to mark my under bust. After marking my under bust, I'm going to mark my waist circumference. Sorry, my shoulder to waist. After marking my shoulder to waist, I'm going to measure about 7 inches downwards, and I'm going to get my hip line. So I'm just going to mark. Then what I'm going to do right now is from that 12 inches I placed at my under bust, I'm going to find my bust point from my under bust, and my bust point is 9 inches and it's sitting very well at that point, and I'm going to mark. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to insert my body circumference. So at the bust, remember I added 1.5 inches for sewing allowance and we used half for turn up. So I'm just going to mark mark 1 inch at both sides of the bust, at both sides of the under bust, and both sides of the waist. So going down to my hip points, I'm going to insert my hip measurement. Then going down to the lower part of the skirt, I'm just going to mark 1.5 inches at both sides. I'm going to connect my line and I'm going to shape the dress. So after shaping the dress, this is what I have. So the next thing is to attach my sleeve. I'm just going to take my sleeve and I'm going to attach it to both sides of the dress. I'm going to top stitch it on it this way. So I'm going to bring it and show you the final result. So at this point, if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification button to get new updates from my channel whenever I post, and also leave your comments at the comment section.